Fennec had their own installation team. They have their own service guys and everything. So they would do design and build of systems around their own robots, which now as a machine builder / integrator is a little bit of a competition. They're so limited in how much work they can take on. It's not a big problem or anything. They're not a real competition because like they take the, what's that?
I imagine there'd be so much green space. Like there's so many things that could be made mechanical via robots that like it's almost easy not to step on each other's toes in a space competitively when there's so much green space or possibility.
Yeah, it's such a huge market. Not only that, Fennec takes specific types of jobs. One, they'll take the jobs that are more R&D like, meaning, so for example, there's a process called bin picking. Are you familiar with that?
No, tell us what that is.
Okay, so for example, in the past, we would use a 2D camera. We still do this, but this was great technology, early technology, or the most basic pick and place operation, right? You'd fixture a part, some part comes to you somehow, right? And you need to get it somewhere else, right? Meaning like something's indexed in on a conveyor, like let's say it's a box, right? Let's do a palletizing operation. A box comes in on a conveyor, right? And you need to make a stack of them on a pallet, right? With a robot. So the easiest, most clean way to do it is to fixture the box when it comes in. So, and a box is easy on a conveyor because the box is square or whatever, rectangle, and it's rigid. And so all you have to do is let it hit the end of the conveyor and then push it to one side so it's corner justified, right? So you know exactly where the box is in space based on some origin point, right? So then when I go with the robot, I can just simply pick it because I know exactly where it is. Once I pick it, I know exactly where it is because my gripper is, goes to a fixed point in space, right? So all in all, and then I somehow know where the pallet is because I've done the same thing to the pallet, right? I justified it into a corner, so I know where its origin is. So all things are in known space, right? I know where everything is, exactly. And so I don't need any special fancy things to do an operation on those. I can simply just go to a known space, pick a known box, put it on a known pallet, right? And I can build a pallet. I can calculate all the positions. I don't have to guess, right? There's no guessing. So that's the simplest way to do it. The next simplest way would be, so I don't know where this thing is, where I'm picking, right? So I put a camera over it, a 2D camera, and I can find it in 2D space, right? So think of a plane. Somewhere on that plane, my box exists in both X, Y, and rotational space, right? It could rotate. So the camera can return the 2D basic regular camera, right? Just same as my phone has, can return for me as long as I calibrate it so I know, that it knows what real space looks like, right? So calibration takes some image and it makes it so that there is no, skewing or any of that stuff, right? And you take the actual distance, right? So like it can measure once you've calibrated. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so anyway, I can return like its XY location and its rotational angle, right? So then the robot can then recalculate its pick position based on that information and pick correctly, right? Mm-hmm. And then my palette I could do the same thing if I wanted to, right? So 2D camera, that's like the next thing. We don't do that if we can help it, right? Because the first one is easier and it costs less, right? So then the second thing is picking to an unknown location in Cartesian space, or really in a plane, right? So then the third one would be full Cartesian space, meaning 3 dimensions, right? And that's called bin picking. So what happens is now, let's not use a box because a box is too easy. Let's use some random part like I don't know, coffee cup. Well, that's not good because they'd break.
A
Apples.
metal, sure.
Let's pick apples, right? Maybe apples aren't good either. Something that has like, it doesn't matter, whatever it is. It comes in a bin, right? So like in a plant, you have, okay, I got a good one. So a bracket, like for example, there's a factory that I was in the other day that there's a stamping press, and they're producing out from the backside of the stamping press. These brackets are falling out, and they're like, I don't know, like this big, and they're like an L with a little foot on it or something like that, right? So the stamping press is just stamping, and then these brackets are falling out into the bin, and this bin is like a Gaylord. Do you know what that is? Like a 48 by 48 by like, I don't know, it's probably like 36 bin, right? It's a metal bin. And they use these a lot in manufacturing to move parts around. So somebody then goes and forklifts, it's full. So they forklift it over to the other machine, right? Or something like that. Or maybe whatever, it goes into a warehouse, comes back out of the warehouse, and they want to package them or whatever. I don't know. They want to handle them somehow. Or maybe there's a secondary operation. They want to load this part into another machine that taps holes or drills and taps holes or something. Let's say that. So I need to put it into this other machine with orientation and location, right? Like it has to fit into a fixture in this other machine so that I can drill the holes in the correct spot, right?
Yeah. So
it means I have to pick it with a known orientation and position, right? But it's just in this bin, like just this pile of them in a bin. So we like put a 3D camera system over it now, which this is pretty new. Now this is at the consumer level. Like Fennec doesn't, I mean, they still do this, but like Fennec doesn't need to do this anymore. But I guess my point is, like Fennec's or any of these big OEM manufacturers, like robot manufacturers or technology manufacturers, what they're doing, if they're doing this kind of integration, is they're living closer to this technology limit, right? So they're doing the bin picking before it rolls out to everybody else, because they're actually still like making changes to their core software when they're doing it, right? So they're like, we'll quote this to somebody who needs it, and then they'll give them a deal-ish, right? And they'll also do the R&D on site with the customer kind of thing, right? And then once it's deployable, then we get it, the technology, we can implement the technology, and we don't need Fennec anymore. And they're kind of on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one of the reasons we don't compete with them. The other reason is because like large OEMs, like let's say GM, who buy 300 robots at a shot, get all their service, right? Like whatever service they want to like focus on, those big clients who are going to buy like thousands of robots a year, and like almost nobody can compete with that, right? Like
right.
There are very few integrators who are that big. So
and because they're prioritizing on the R&D type of deals, they are first with the polished technology, and then they probably license.
Yeah, they effectively. I mean, I'm sure that there are patents on it too, but they effectively then charge us license fees for all of those features, right? They don't just include that stuff; it's all separate pay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.